Hello YouTube, Captain Mac here, and welcome back to another episode of FedEx Cargo Operations. And I just want to start off by saying in this video really quick, I know it's been a while since I actually made a video and posted it. I did post a video recently that was made a while ago, and I did have a bunch of videos made in advance because I knew that I was going to have to be away for a little while. Those have run out, and now I'm trying to get some videos made again. But for those of you who don't know, my wife and I recently had another baby, and that is obviously taking a lot of my time right now. And leading up to the birth of our son, I had to be away for a little while because the pregnancy was pretty hard on my wife. And so just life things that keep us away from doing the things that we enjoy, like flight sim, have been going on in my life. And so I just wanted to let everybody know just real quick that that's going on, and that's part of the reason that you haven't seen me a whole lot lately. I haven't disappeared. I'm just we're trying to find that balance between the new baby in the house plus the toddler and all the other craziness that goes on in life, so that we can get back to doing the things that we normally would do, which for me includes doing flight simulation and making videos for all of you. So with all of that said, we're going to do a short flight today in FedEx Cargo Operations. It's going to be from FedEx Hub in Memphis over to Atlanta, and really this is just it's a short flight to run some cargo over there so that we could get in a flight, because I wanted to get a flight in with you guys. I do want to note just very briefly as a bit of a teaser, there are a lot of really cool things coming down the pipe for Mac Air, for flight simulation community as a whole, and for the Captain Mac channel. And so I'm really excited about a lot of those things, and as they start to appear, we will definitely be talking about them and diving in deep. So with all of that said, what do you say we climb up into the flight deck and get to work? And welcome to the flight deck, ladies and gentlemen. As is our custom, we are going to go over our flight plan here momentarily, but we're going to do things just a little bit different today because there's a couple of really cool things that I want to show you guys. And so that's why normally we just sort of hop right into the flight plan here, but I've decided to hop into the cockpit so that we can see you can see the powers on the aircraft, but I have not really done any of the power on stuff other than just establishing power. That's the only thing I've done so far. We're not going to go through all the steps here. That was all done in my full flight tutorial for this aircraft. I just want to note very briefly, for those of you who are paying attention, somebody asked me in the comments section if I could spend a little more time on my next flight going over the descent procedures, because they were having some problems with their aircraft meeting the descent points that it was supposed to. I will say that this is my second run at this flight because I haven't flown in a while, and I had some serious issues in the first one. But on the first run in this flight, the aircraft descended as it was supposed to. It was on point. So this flight, because it's so close between top of climb and top of descent, is not the one to do it in. But I haven't forgotten about you. We will do a longer flight in the MD-11 that will give us an opportunity to go a little more in depth with the descent procedures and make sure we got all of that tracking. So with that in mind, let's drag our Sim Toolkit Pro over here. If I can find the click spot to drag it, there it is. And we'll take a look at our flight plan. So normally what we do is we hop in here and we go to this guy, and there's our flight plan, and it's all highlighted because I can't seem to find the click spot on this thing ever. And that's great. It's a Lido format flight plan. We're all very familiar with it. It's fantastic. But I want to talk about what Navigraph has done with Navigraph charts and with SimBrief. So for those of you who don't know, SimBrief is now operated by Navigraph, and I can pull it up right here in my Sim Toolkit Pro from one of the tabs down here. If you don't know how to do that, go look at my tutorial. Even though it's an older version of Sim Toolkit Pro, the process is still the same, and you can link your SimBrief right here into your Sim Toolkit Pro. And look at what we see here. This is the dashboard. The user interface is absolutely fantastic. Everything that goes on in the background of Sim Toolkit Pro, I'm sure, or of SimBrief, I'm sure they've done some stuff, but the stuff that's not visible to you is not the stuff that you need to worry about so much. It's gonna still generate flights the way that it has in the past and so on, but what you have is a much nicer user interface. They've done a beautiful job with the user interface on this, and I just want to give a shout out to them on it because it looks fantastic. And when you throw it into Sim Toolkit Pro here, you can see it's very easy to use. I got my dashboard. This is the flight we're looking at right now. I could do new flight, edit flight, view the flight plan, and so on. And that's what we're going to do right now is we're going to view the flight plan. So you go here. Here's our flight plan, right? So this is similar in a sense, right? So this is this flight plan, but in a little bit easier to read format, basically, right? You can see there's our operational flight plan layout, LEDO flight plan. We already talked about that. But what I love about this is all my weights are right here. So when I go to my normal flight plan, I get my fuel stuff from here, and then I come down here and I get my weights, which is not that big of a deal. If it's realistic, there's nothing wrong with that. But what I love here is here's all my load sheet stuff right here. My empty weight, zero fuel weight, block fuel, cargo, payload, max zero fuel, all of that. Now for the MD-11, it doesn't quite have everything I need, which is interesting because I didn't really think about it before I started doing this. But actually what we need for the MD-11 is we need trip fuel, taxi fuel, and block fuel. So we're going to need this information anyway. But still, it's absolutely beautiful what Navigraph has done with SimBrief. I love the graphic user interface. You guys are doing an awesome job. So kudos to you. Another thing, and you'll see me do this later, the weather and NOTAMs. Go in here, just type in your airport. We're at Memphis right now, so KMEM, and I can pull real world weather right now. And I can get it in a typical METAR format, I can get it in TAF, and then I can get this nice ATIS text version, right? So this is what the ATIS would be saying right now. Makes it nice and clear so I know what my altimeter settings are and all of that. So with all of that in mind, real quick, let's take a look at our flight plan. You can see it's Mac Air Flight 2, that one right there. Departing Memphis out to Atlanta, our alternate is Charlotte. It's going to be in the MD-11F. This is our route down here, so we're going to depart 18 Charlie. We're going to take the BB King 7 departure out to Kermie, all the way to the Glavin 1 arrival into Atlanta. And we'll decide when we get a little closer whether or not 8 left is going to be our runway, but it probably will be. Planned optimum flight level, it should be flight level 30, it shows 37,000 on here, so we'll go with that, 37,000. And so that is in comparison to reading it on here, again, Memphis to Atlanta. It's got all the same information on here, it's just a little, maybe a little harder to dig it out unless you're used to it. So I just really love that, and I wanted to highlight that as we show the flight plan. And then I also wanted to quickly highlight the Navigraph chart. So this is your charts desktop. I don't know why that's zoomed out like that. This is your charts desktop. We've all seen this before, but here again, the graphic user interface has been updated. It's a really great look to it. It's easy to use. One of the things I like is when you click on the charts here, is they're color coded now, right? Which they may have been before and I just didn't notice. But just this graphic user interface overall is absolutely fantastic. And you can see I'm in airports right now. If I go back to flights, it's right there. You still import from SimBrief. Everything is as you would expect it to be. It's what's the word I'm looking for? Intuitive. So you don't need, like, there's not like some learning curve or something like that to figure it out. It's just really fantastic. The one thing I'd like to say, and this is a shout out to Navigraph, if anybody at Navigraph happens to watch my videos, which would be really cool actually. But anyway, what I would love to see on these charts, you've got the little moving aircraft thing here. You know what would be really cool is if I could pull up an ILS chart and it'll show up on here, but if it was possible to set it up to do the profile view as well, so that it shows where I'm at on this profile, that'd be really cool. Just something to think about. I don't even know if that's doable, but I just thought I'd throw it out there anyway. So wanted to show you all that. That's our flight plan. It's going to be the BB King 7 departure. We'll brief that in a little bit, but there you go. So if you're not using SimBrief, guys, honestly I don't know why you wouldn't use it. I used PFPX or something like that for a long time, which was a plan you paid for, or a program you paid for. SimBrief is way better. It's an easy to use program, and if you want to do realistic or even semi-realistic flights, there's no reason you shouldn't be using this program. So there you have it. So a bit longer for our flight briefing. for our flight plan briefing. But yeah, there you go, good stuff. Alrighty, folks, we just about got things ready to go here. I'm just gonna put this back on the engines page really fast. There we go. I haven't started the APU yet, so I'm going to jump up here and do that really quick. Just hit the start and stop button, and then you get the status of the APU right here. So that's coming up. So while that's spinning up, just want to let you know really quick, so we are going to stick with the BB King 7 departure off runway 18 center. Let's go ahead and take a look at our taxi and departure briefings really quick. So taking a look at the airport diagram here, runway 18 center is right here, and we are right here. Now we do need to back up a bit. Yeah, no, it's pointed the right way. Yeah, my brain just wasn't functioning properly. That'll happen on occasion. Anyway, so we're going to push back, and when we pull out, we're going to come down here to Victor, and then we're going to cross at Charlie and come down here and hold short at Charlie 7, in case you can't see that there. So Victor to Charlie, cross runway 0927, and then down here to hold short at Charlie 7. And then for our departure here out of runway 18 center, it's a climb on heading 180. This is the text right up here. So climb heading 180 to intercept course 161 to Ribsy, then on depicted route to BB King. So that's basically straight out this way. Then you intercept this 163-degree radial to come out to Ribsy, and then you hang a left, and then we're on out from there. Now the top altitude is 5,000 feet. We're going to blow right on by that because I'm not hanging around at 5,000 feet for this particular flight today. I know it's a breaking of the rules, but it's one of the beauties of flight sim. I don't really have to follow the rules, right? So there you go. That's our taxi and our departure briefing. Let's hop back onto the flight deck here, and our APU is up and running, so we can go ahead and take the APU power there, and then we can turn the external power off. Don't forget to put your APU bleed on down here, otherwise you're going to have yourself a wee little problem. And then if we go up here to the plugins, rotate MD-11 aircraft menu, we can dismiss the ground power, we can get rid of the wheel chocks, and we don't have any stairs or anything like that right now, so we are good to go on all of that. Now everything else, remember, this is like sort of semi-auto. This was that aircraft that sort of crossed between the Boeing and the Airbus, and so it's pretty straightforward stuff. So we already got everything set up for our pushback. Let's go ahead and take a look at our pushback procedures here. And what I mean by that is I've already set up better pushback and set up our pushback route. Alright, so beacon light needs to go on. I could have stayed right up top there. So beacon light needs to go on. That's this guy right here. Auxiliary hydraulic pump 1 that needs to go on. That's this guy right up here. Bam, you need to flip him on. Engine ignition A or B. We're going to go with B. That's this guy right here. It's automatically going to take care of the packs and the fuel pumps. So that's going to work out nicely for us. Fuel system manual light, verify extinguished. Okay, it's talking about this system light here. So these system lights should all be extinguished. If they're not, then I have to manually pick things, and it says manual there. So we want to leave those on auto, right? Parking brake is set at the moment because we need to call for our pushback. And so let's go ahead and do that, and then I can show you how we're going to do the startup so we can get rolling here. So where are we at? Better pushback. Already pre-planned it. Start it.
Grounded cockpit. Tow is driving up.
Okay, fantastic. So I've got this nice little view set up here. It's going to make starting the aircraft really easy. So it's going to go 3, 1, then 2. What you're going to do, remember, it's kind of an auto start. There's not a lot you have to worry about, but you're going to pop out the starter for engine 3 first. When you get 15% N2 up here on your ICAS display, then you're going to go ahead and introduce fuel. Once the engine stabilizes, you're going to go engine 1, then engine 2. Now here's the only catch that goes with this, and that is that if you take too long to start engines 3 and 1, then something happens where the start procedure, it doesn't want to start engine number 2. So basically, as soon as 3 is stabilized, you need to start 1. As soon as 1 is stabilized, you need to start 2, and then you should be good to go.
All doors and hatches are closed. Ready to connect.
Okay, hook it up. Something I did forget to do was uncage this guy here. So there we go, that's uncaged. You can see that we've got our auto brake set to takeoff. We've got our altitude set to 37,000 feet. Our heading is runway heading 180. Indicated airspeed, I did V2 plus 30. Now, I didn't read that anywhere. I know this thing is just weird the way it climbs sometimes. It really freaks me out, to be honest with you. If I was flying in this thing in real life, I would probably be terrified. I have been on an MD-11 in real life, But I don't recall it trying to climb out at like what felt like a 90-degree nose-up angle. Of course, it's not that steep, but you guys get the point, right? So everything else is set up and good to go. There's a few things we need to do once we get this pushback complete that are really important for making sure everything works properly. Okay, that was the release parking brakes. We'll go ahead and pop that bad boy up.
Starting pushback, and you may start engines.
Okay, so we're just going to start our pushback route. So again, you're going to pop out the engine starter on 3. You're going to see it pop up here in a minute. Come on. There it goes. And we're waiting for 15% on there. I know you can't see it real well. There's 10%, 11, and so on. All right, and it's not like real fickle. Like if it goes a little above 15, you're in trouble. Now in real life, it might be. I don't know. I'm not a real world MD-11 pilot, am I? All right, so we're going to let that engine spin up and stabilize. And I'm going to show it to you one more time with engine number 1, and then I will skip ahead to the completion of the start procedure, and we can press on from there. Because again, there are a few things we need to make sure we do that are really important. It's going to stabilize at about 62%, so you can see now the light's out, it's starting to stabilize. Let's go ahead and start engine number 1. Again, waiting for 15% on the N2, and remember, the reason I'm going through this relatively quickly is because if you wait too long, for some reason it doesn't the start procedure doesn't work for engine number 2. Some of you have probably experienced that, and it's really frustrating. So just make sure that when you're ready to start engines, you go 3, 1, 2, and be done with it. Don't be farting around with anything else. Alright, I'm going to let that engine start, get the pushback finished, and then I will be back on here shortly. Alrighty then, flowing right into our after start procedures and then our taxi procedures. So we need to get the APU off. We're going to hop up here. Now, it says available. We're not on it anymore. So
Tail is disconnected and bypass pin has been removed. Hand signal on the left. We'll see you next time and have fun up there.
Sweet. See you later. See ya. Now, see, this says system select. Yeah, see, it's doing this on its own. So, okay, leave it alone. APU needs to go off. Just click the start stop button up there. APU will shut down. External power is already off. We're not going to do the FedEx mode switches. We're not even going to talk about those right now. I did talk about it briefly in my tutorial, so there you go. Nose light needs to go to taxi, and then landing light's extended but off, which is 1 click down. Logo light can go on at this point if it's not already, which it is in this case. So pushback is finished, and then the PFD should show taxi. So you can see it sort of over there. It's a little clearer over here. Taxi on the PFD, and of course our V speed should be on there as well. That master caution is going to keep popping up. See, it says select fuel system manual, auxiliary lower pumps low. So it's telling me I need to do it. Might be a okay. So let's select that, and then let's get rid of those, and let's see what happens if I go back. It just says select again, but my pumps are on, right? See, like, okay, so if I select it, so that would be off. That's low. That's okay. So it's on. So I guess we're going to leave it on manual. And somebody pointed out what the man F drain has to do with it. Moves fuel is what it does. That's the easy version of it. It moves fuel. But I don't want to mess with that. So I'm going to leave it as is because all my fuel pumps are on. So I shouldn't have any issues. I really prefer to have it on auto. I don't know why it's requiring me to... that's just the quantity test. I don't know why I pushed that, but I don't know why it's requiring me to put it on manual right now, but it keeps saying it. And then if you go back down here again, it says select fuel system manual. You go back up here, we'll select it. There's nothing left for us to do. The pumps are running. We're good to go. So I guess we're just going to leave it like that. And then now it's just telling me fuel system is on manual. So not really sure what that is. It's probably built-in failure or something, but it's taken us way too long to even talk about it. So we're just going to ignore it now and hope it doesn't cause a problem. Oh, you gotta love flight sim, guys. Okay, we have taxi clearance. We've already noted our taxiways. We don't need ground clearance. We need to bring in the flaps. It's going to be flaps 20. Okay, if you look on here, you can see that what first click is bringing in the slats. The arrow means that they're coming out right now. And then once the arrow goes away, it'll just say slats, and that means that the slats are extended. There you have it. And then our dial flap was set to 20, so when you click it again, it does the same thing. It tells you you're going to dial flap 20. If we had set that to something else, it would have a different number. All right, spoilers need to be armed. Come back over here. Remember, you got to get the little hand, not the arrows, the hand. Click, pull up. There you go. Spoilers are now armed. PFD, verify flap setting indicated correctly. We already did that. TCAS needs to go to TARA all the way up right there. That's fantastic. Stabilizer trim set as indicated, which is 5.2. You find that right here. I'll zoom in for you. It says stab 5.2. Come back here. You can see here's our stab trim right here. So we're going to scroll that on up until this says 5.2. And I know it's kind of hard to see sometimes what's on these screens when you're watching this as a video, so just take my word for it. It says 5.2. Alright, now we need to do our flight controls check. You're going to come down here and click on config. Real quick, if we jump down here, so when these have a light on them, it means there's something it wants you to look at. So if we click on fuel, which shouldn't surprise us, so you can see what's going on right here. Tip 5500, tip 5500. I don't know what that means. I'm assuming there's something going on here. So I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to break away for just a second so I can see if I can figure out what's going on with the fuel, because I don't want to stare at that thing the whole time, and I should know anyway, right? Alright, so I did a little digging for a little bit. I can't seem to find a solid answer. Either it's some kind of glitch that has to do with, for whatever reason, it goes haywire when you turn off the APU at first, or it has something to do with the load being out of whack, right? The center of gravity not accounting properly for the fuel that's going to be burned during the flight. Those are the best two answers I could find, and I can't seem to, I really can't tell for sure, to be honest with you. So I've got the cross feeds on, but I don't really need them on. I've got the transfers on, which I should probably just turn those off. And I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave the cross feeds on for now and just kind of keep an eye on it. As far as I can tell, there's not actually a problem here. It just thinks there is. So, but if I try to turn it back to auto, it just keeps giving me that warning. So I don't have the time to mess with it, unfortunately. Maybe one of you knows what's actually going on here, and you can let me know in the comments, and maybe I can not have this problem in the future. In the meantime, we're going to hop back down here. The fuel, again, we've already looked at that. Miscellaneous, what does it say? DFDR. That's going to go away in a minute. That'll go away once the brakes are off while the engines are running, so we should be fine there. Stabilizer trim is set. We haven't done the flight controls check, so we're going to do that really quick here by going to config, back up here, and then it's full left. There we go. Full right. Good. All the way up, all the way down, and then full left and full right, and everything is groovy. Again, I don't think that there is an issue with the fuel. It just thinks there is, right? So, okay, pressing on there. So FMC needs to be to the takeoff page, which it is, and then this is important. You need to push the nav mode in order to arm it. So we're going to click that, and you're going to see nav is armed there. That's going to take us over here, and a little jump as the track IR comes on. Bloop, there it is. And I've tried to get this view centered up a little bit better, so I think we're good to go. And at least you can see a little bit. So let's go ahead and take the parking brakes off. There we go, parking brakes are off. Bring a little thrust in, and we're going to have that fuel warning pretty much the entire flight. So could be a little obnoxious, but it's not the end of the world. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and taxi out. If I'm feeling really friendly here, I'll give you a little cinematic. Actually, it's nothing to do with whether or not I'm feeling friendly. It has to do with whether or not I have the time. So if I have the time, we'll get you a nice little cinematic. Otherwise, we'll just hop right on up to holding short of the runway, and we'll continue on. Alrighty folks, here we are holding short of runway 18 center. We've already done the handoff to the tower. Landing lights need to come on at this point. Of course, normally that's kind of as you go on the runway. We're going to flip them on anyway. Beacon lights were already on. High intensity lights need to come on. Transponder is already on. Now this one, again, you need to get this right. You need to click on auto flight to arm it. Bam, click that bad boy there. Verify that you have the green box down here, which is important. And then we're going to position and hold. Now the way this is set up is when we pull out on the runway, let me look over here so you can see it a little bit better. Okay, nav is armed, takeoff clamp is armed. Once those thrust levers get past 65%, that takeoff clamp is going to turn to takeoff thrust. And that is your toga mode, right? So you have to make sure that you set that up properly by clicking on everything that I told you to click on to get to this point. Make sense to everybody? Fantastic. Alright, track error coming on, a little jump here. There it is. Oh, that thing's not even close to center anymore either, is it? Boop, now it's centered. Alright, let's bring a little thrust in here. It's unfortunate that we still have that fuel warning. It's probably going to be there the whole flight. I'm going to leave the cross feeds on at least for a little bit, and then we'll just decide a little bit. I'll decide a little later whether or not I want to turn them off or what I want to do with those. So we do have a lot of runway to work with here. We're not short on runway by any means. It's interesting how this thing, one thing I've noticed about this MD-11 is it gets going, right? We're going uphill right now, but increasing speed even though my throttles are actually at 0. I kind of dislike that, but it takes quite a bit of throttle to get it going. So it's just kind of a little bit of a strange thing to me. Don't really care for it, but it is what it is. That's where the landing gear should be, the nose gear right there. So we'll swing that bad boy around. And again, long runway to work with here. 13,000 feet or something like that. And we don't even have very high V speeds on this particular flight. So just trying to make sure that we don't undercut the center of that runway too much. You can see we're just swinging around a little tighter than we need to there. Glad I have extra runway to work with as I work on getting this fat bird lined up. I love this airplane, by the way, in case you didn't know that. I love the MD-11. And I'm super stoked because, for those of you who don't know, TFDI is going to be releasing an MD-11 sometime this year, the way I understand it. Either later this year or early next year, but I think it's scheduled for later this year. So that's super exciting. If you're not familiar with TFDI, they've made the Boeing 717, which was an absolutely stellar aircraft. And I know some of the folks over there at TFDI, and I know they are pouring some serious work into this thing. So I'm super excited about that. Really looking forward to it. Okay, let's take a look here. Ready for takeoff. Parking brake, we're not going to set that. Thrust levers are going to go forward, and then we're going to look for takeoff clamp, right here, to change to takeoff thrust when these get to 65%. Now, when you look at my throttles, what you'll see here, watch this, you'll see a little ghost throttle. Well, you probably won't see it until we get into toga mode. So let's get them up to 65% here, and what you'll see is as the throttles move up, come on, it's 2, 3, 4, 5, there's 67, and come on. Waiting on that toga mode. There it goes. Now you see the little ghost throttles? That tells you the position of my physical throttles that I have sitting here at home with me. So just something to keep in mind if you want to make sure your throttles are set before turning on or off auto thrust on this aircraft. Okay, rolling down the runway here. Hands are on the throttles. We're watching the airspeed is clearly alive. Things are looking good. Coming up on V1 and rotate right now. Let's get this fat bird up in the air. There she goes. Remember, we're just going to follow that flight director there. Alright, positive rate of climb. Gear is coming up. And this thing loves to climb fast. It really does. Especially right now because it's actually pretty light. I am not that heavy. So we're going to climb super fast here. There we go. Looking good. Just bringing in a little nose down trim so I don't have to fight it too much. Otherwise, you're going to be fighting this thing constantly. Again, she climbs like crazy. So we're just adjusting gear settings. So speed, we need to verify our speeds. That's all good. We've already clicked FMS speed, so that's set in here right now. So if we want auto flight, what we should be able to do is just click it again, right? So let's just click auto flight, and bam, there she goes, auto flight away. Now if you wanted to fly the profile that you have, you need to hit the profile button over here. Bam, now it's going to fly the profile to the correct altitudes. Now you can see right now it's set for 235, right? The speed's coming down right now, which always makes me so nervous. Look, we're right on the edge of that. But as that nose finally starts to come down, and I think that's on me. I think I need to do a better job of getting it closer to the speed it's supposed to be at before I go into the autopilot mode, because this thing will, in my opinion, struggle to get on profile properly without having issues with the speed. So there's our flap retract. It's green, which means we can retract flaps, but see, it keeps going back into the yellow because even though it's supposed to be at 235, it's floating at 158 right now. So let's go back to FMS speed there. Why it disappeared, I don't know. So FMS speed, and bam, look at that. Now they're both magenta. It's going up to 235. We'll go ahead and we'll retract those flaps. So you see it's going to flap 0, but the slats will remain extended. Okay. That SR, you see that SR, that's slats retract. Slats retract. So once we get past that, it'll turn green. There it is. Now we can retract the slats. It's going to come up to 250 knots. Things are looking fantastic. Let me go ahead and turn this track IR off for you. Hop to a slightly different view here. I know that it's not my finest takeoff there. I don't know why, because we clicked FMS speed, right? Didn't we? I'm sure we did. It's on the checklist, right? Where is it at? FMS speed. You're supposed to click it somewhere. I'm just double checking because I'm sure we clicked on that. Maybe I thought I clicked it and didn't click it. That must be what happened. So anyway, so now you know. So if you want it to fly your FMS speed, double check if that should be dashes in there, right? And then profile is what we want here. So it's going to continue to climb to 37,000 feet. We're looking good there. Okay, so everything's good there. So let's take a look at our after takeoff / climb checklist. Landing lights and taxi lights are off once we get above 10,000 feet, which we literally just crossed right now. So that's perfect. Bring those up. 1, 2, 1, 2, and 1, 2. Altitude's looking good. We don't need any handoffs. Landing lights are retracted. Yeah, so I actually wrote it in here by hand, FMS speed push, because it wasn't on this checklist. So I could probably move that to an earlier point, to be quite frank with you. Okay, moving along, that is pretty much it, other than turning off the seatbelt sign or whatever if you so desire. So that means, guess what? Yeah, you know, it is time once again for some of that obligatory elevator music. Alrighty folks, welcome to top of climb here just about, and as you can see, if we look down here, we've got 82 nautical miles to top of descent. So we're going to start our descent procedures now. You'll notice that there was a cabin pressure warning on there and then it went away. That's being controlled automatically by the system, so it needed to bleed off some pressure or something like that. You'll also notice that our fuel warnings went away. All I did was click it back over to auto, or turn the system back to auto, and it went away. So still don't know what was going on with that, but let's start taking a look at our descent procedures here. Okay, so descent preparations begin 30 to 50 nautical miles before top of descent. You can do it sooner, but you don't really want to do it later. You're going to be chasing it. We've got our airport information, so we need to go in here to our FMC. I'm going to go through this a little quick, but and I forget your name, but for those of you, or the one of you who's having some trouble with it descending properly, let's make sure we follow these procedures right and see if we don't get that hashed out. Alright, that's the wrong button there. Okay, so we're going to go into our FMC page. We're going to go to our flight plan page. Okay, so go to flight plan page, and then you're going to go to your last en route waypoint. Okay, and you're going to select your star from there, right? So basically, I already set this up before we took off. You can go to your airport, click on that, and you can select your star from there. Or in this case, if you go to your last, it's got to be your last en route waypoint though, right? So you see all of this is part of Glavin 1, right? And then I don't know why there's Rusa on there as well. That's interesting. But it would be whichever one is the last en route waypoint. I set that up before I leave for short flights, so we'll take another look at that when we do a longer flight, because if I remember, it's supposed to like appear white or something like that, but it's supposed to be the last en route waypoint, right? And so that should be, these are all on Glavin 1. You could say it's those, but Laurie is part of the approach. So anyway, you get the point, right? So you're setting up your arrivals, what you do. Set up your arrivals, set up your approach, set that up, okay? Once that's all set up, what we want to do is we want to check our altitudes here, right? So let's go back here to performance page. How far do we got to top descent? 60 nautical miles. So we're going to be fine on that. So I'll tell you what we're going to do is we're going to brief our arrival and our approach here. I know that's like zero help for you as far as the issues you were having with your descent, and I apologize for that. I don't really have time to dig into it right now. I should be able to just pick that on there, but it's not letting me, right? So what you want to do though is you want to put in your star, put in your approach, right? So if it was a really long flight, you would do this, I don't know, depending on how long it is, you would do it, you know, an hour out or something like that, since you'd know which runway you'd be going to by then. But anyway, let's take a look at our arrival here. It's going to be the Glavin 1 RNAV arrival. It's going to come out here from Rusa to Jackson, Maddox, and then down to Glavin. It probably will not hit this altitude, and I'll show you why here in a minute. And then it's down to Southern, and then for us, if I remember, it goes Yaba, Navy, and then from here for 8 left, it's going to go right on to the approach. So that's going to take us from Navy to Laurie, Jaj, Bazaar, Shell, and then on in. So taking a look at our approach brief right here, ATIS is on 119.65, approach on 27.9. For us, we would be 119.1 on the tower and 121.9 for ground. Localizer frequency is 109.3. I'm going to show you how to put that in here in a minute. Final approach course is 095 degrees with glide slope intercept at Shell 2,900 feet. ILS decision altitude 1,215 feet or 200 feet AGL. There's your airport elevation 1026 feet, touchdown zone elevation 1015, 3,100 feet minimum safe altitude in the area. For missed approach, climb to 1,500 feet, then a climbing left turn to 3,500 feet on heading 360, and inbound on the RMG VOR 115 degree radial to Troy's intersection, which is 38.1 miles from RMG radar, and hold. So it looks like that right there. There you go. 5,000 at Laurie, 4,000 at Bazaar, 2,900 at Shell for glide slope intercept. Happy lights on the left-hand side of the runway, and there you have it. It's probably one of the fastest approach briefs I've ever done, and we kind of had to because of that. Now, we did have some altitude restrictions. For those of you who were paying attention, if you weren't, go back and you can take a look at the video. So we have altitude restrictions at Glavin of 12,000 feet. So let's start with that over here. Where is Glavin? There's Glavin right there. It's at 10,300, so it's not going to make that. I could program it to do that, but I'm not going to in this case. Not going to right now. We'll do that for a future video. But these other altitudes, it will hit them. 9,000, 8,000 at Navy, and then Laurie is 5,000 and so on. Okay. I haven't had a problem with it hitting those altitudes. There's two ways of doing this. Number one, I could say, okay, my next assigned altitude is 18,000, just as a number, right? So I'll say 18,000, and we put it there, and then off we go, and we wait for ATC to give us another altitude, right? I'm not using ATC, so it's not really an issue for me. That's option one. Option two is to set it to the lowest altitude we're going to go to and allow that profile to do its thing. Now remember, real world, that's not what you're doing. Real world, you get an altitude from ATC. They say you can go down to this altitude, and down you go. And then you have to maintain that altitude until you get the next clearance. I realize that, but I also realize that not only am I not using ATC, I don't have time to fart around with it. So we're going to take it all the way down. This is how I typically do it. If I know some people don't like it, that's okay. 2,900 feet is what we're shooting for. So we're going to scroll this down to 2,900 feet. There we go, 2,900, and I'm going to allow the profile to do its thing. I think the key is if you're having issues with your altitudes, the key is making sure that our altitudes are set in here, first of all. So it's Southern Java Navy, we have to be at 9,000 and 8,000, right? Right now it shows Glavin at 10,300. So the distance from Glavin to Southern is 10 miles, okay? 10 miles. At Southern, I have to be at 9,000. At Glavin, it says I'm supposed to be at 12,000. So let's think this through for a minute. If I'm at 12,000 feet, doing 250 knots, can I descend 3,000 feet in 10 miles in an MD-11? Can I? Yes. Should I? Probably not. At 250 knots, 10 nautical miles is going to take you about 2 minutes, right? Which means you need to descend at 1,500 feet per minute. I guess that's not that bad. So what you could do if you want is we could say, okay, at Glavin, I hit the wrong button. At Glavin, we need to be at, so that's 16,900. So I should be able to select it. So that's speed, altitude, at or above, altitude at. There we go. That's what I want. 15,000. I'm going to put altitude at. Make sure it's at. Okay, because if you select at or above, it can be above it. If you select at or below, it can be below it. We need to be at 15,000. There we go, 15,000. Now you see what it's doing? Look at what it's doing here. Did I do I did. I'm a bloody fool. Okay, let's go back here. 15th, this one's Glavin. Glavin. Make sure you're on the right waypoint when you do it. Altitude at 15,000 at Glavin. And then at Southern, which I accidentally just did on, it's supposed to be at 9,000. Okay, there we go. Altitude 9,000. There we go. 15,000, 9,000. Now check this out. Top of descent, 11 nautical miles, right? So, because we're on profile and I changed those, it should hit those altitudes. So I guess what I'm driving at here as we're getting ready to descend, because I'm going to get off here, I've been bumping my gums long enough, is if your altitudes are set right in here, sometimes it will overshoot or undershoot it a little bit, but generally speaking, it should hit those altitudes without too much difficulty. Okay? Now keep this in mind as well. Check your speeds, right? So for example, at 9,000 feet, it shows the speed at 326 knots. That's too fast, right? So speed at or below, so speed at or below 10,000 feet is supposed to be 250, right? So speed 250, bam. Same thing here, it's supposed to be 250. So now it's scrolling that down a little bit more, right? Where'd it go? Disappeared on me. Oh, I clicked the wrong way, that's why. Okay, so Glavin, it's still showing 350 at Glavin, 15,000 feet. I mean, it can be, right? Because we're not below 10,000 feet. We need to be 250 here. So that's part of it. We're on our descent right now, in case you didn't notice, right? And this is showing us our path error. So we're 15 feet low. So we're a little under the path right now is what it's saying. And if you zoom in on this, right? If you zoom in on this, it's referring to this diamond versus the center, right? And it wants us to add drag, probably because we're going too fast now. Let's throw a little drag out there. Come on. Okay, so all the crazy is going to start now because there's always something going on, right? See, now it's trying to trim, and it's just a mess. Anyway, you kind of get the gist of that. I hope that helps a little bit. Let me know if you're still having problems, and I will absolutely take more time to try and go through a very, very detailed descent procedure, okay? With that, all that said, I will see you guys when we're on the approach, so I don't talk too much. Alrighty folks, we're going to be on it before you know it here. We've already taken care of all of our briefings. One thing I noticed after I got off of that last little segment is that I set 15,000 at Glavin instead of 12,000. I went back and changed it. It still made the altitude 12,000. So, but you do need to be on top of your speed brakes when you're doing that. So just something to keep in mind there. Alright, let's take a look at our approach checklist here, or our approach procedures. FMC is already squared away. Spoilers up if required. Up if required. We're going to go ahead and arm those now. I don't think we're going to need to, oh my goodness, I get the hiccups, use those anymore. So there we go. Altimeter is already set 3025 on the altimeter. Landing lights are on, taxi light is on, speed brake is now armed. Auto brakes, we're going to set those to medium. There we go. Auto brakes set to medium, and then flaps are 15 right now, and we are going to be doing a full flap landing. Flaps 50. V approach is 144 with a VREF of 139. That's because our runway length is 9,000 feet. So that takes care of our approach checklist, our approach procedures. We're coming up on Navy here. I came on just a little bit early just because things happen really fast. You want to stay ahead of the airplane. You don't want to get behind it, trust me. Alright, so after we pass Navy, because Laurie is our initial approach fix, once we're past Navy and on our way to Laurie, we're going to click on the approach land switch. Alright. Oh, I forgot to do the, good thing I was on here early then. I forgot to do the nav radio. So I'm going to show you the easiest way to do this really quick so that you don't have to search. Go to nav radio, and if you recall, I should have just enough time to do this. Localizer is IHFW. Watch this. Check this out. Go. Oh, it's already in there. Never mind. Doesn't matter. Sometimes it doesn't put it in there, but if you got to put it in there manually and you put 109.3/094, there might be several of them, and you have to pick from the Morse code identifier. You can just put in the Morse code identifier and it'll grab the one that you want it to grab. So something to keep in mind, but I didn't know I'd already put it in there, so we are good on that. Which means, so right now you can see at the bottom here it says no localizer, and no glide slope. Alright, so we're going to hit approach land. It's still going to say that until it makes this turn at Laurie, but what you can see now is landing. It really is easier from the other side. Landing is armed. There we go. Landing is armed. It's set to nav, that's nav 2. This one should say nav 1, right? No, it says nav 2 as well. Okay, that's fine. But it's armed. Now as soon as it's got the localizer now, and it's got the glide slope actually, so you notice the no LOC and the no glide slope both went away now because it's found them both. It's just not on them right now. Okay, so you'll see this diamond will slide to the middle as we come up here to Laurie. Alright, it's going to put us on course there. And then same thing with the glide slope there. So all of that is good. Flaps are going to be on schedule, so we're going to go gear and next setting of flaps here pretty soon. And then we're just looking to capture the ILS. Now it will auto land. I am not going to auto land it. I'm going to try and be a man about it and land it myself. So let's see how that goes. Track IR coming on a little jump here. There we go. And let me just stick my face in the dash. Now one thing I've noticed that it tends to do is overshoot the turns a little bit like it did on that one. We are still pretty fast. So let's go ahead and bring in the next setting flaps. It's going to be flaps 28. That's going to help slow us down just a little bit, right? So look, it's saying, yeah, speed protection. Oh, that was 100% my fault because I threw the flaps out while we were still too fast. So it does a speed protection thing, so it's bringing the speed down automatically, and it's got, I don't know why are we not on FMS speed anyway? Oh, 210, that's why. No, that's right, yeah, but it went away immediately. Stay on FMS speed. 144, so now it's going straight to our approach speed, which is fine. So we're already past our gear extension. That's what the green GE is up there, right? So you can see the speed just creeping down. Now when you go to flaps 35, if you don't have gear down, you're going to start getting the warning. So let's go ahead and throw the gear down. Alright, and then as we pass that flaps 35, you'll see it will turn green. We're looking at this guy right here. See it turn green there, so now we can go flaps 35. There's our warning. And we got all green and that warning goes away. We're past flaps 50, so let's go ahead and throw flaps 50 out. You can see flaps 50 coming in right now. Okay, let's hope that the auto throttles do their job. There they go, they're starting to come in. Okay, fantastic, come on up. Now, we're on auto throttle. Now look, here's my ghost throttles, right? So there's my ghost throttles. So when I'm ready to turn the autopilot off, I just line those up with that and then I'll be good to go, right? Alright, so we've captured the localizer now. That's why it's in white here. Landing is armed and it's set to hold right now. And the reason that it's set to hold is because we are below that glide slope, right? So glide slope intercept was where? Shell, right? Which is right up here. I'll scroll that in for you. So there's shell. That's where we're supposed to intercept the glide slope. So we ended up coming down a little fast. And the reason that happened was because I did the flaps and all that stuff, so it was a little too early. So now what you have us just flying along here with the nose sticking high up in the sky. We got full flaps out, which looks really cool, but not necessarily the way to do it. It's way too far out. I don't know, for whatever reason I had it in my head we were going to be on it a little bit quicker. So I'm going to fast forward and I will see you for the landing here momentarily. Alright, you can see the indicator for the glide slope, the magenta diamond, is sliding down there. So we're coming up on the glide slope capture. It should capture it just fine. Just make a note. Make sure you actually recognize just how far out you are before you start configuring full configuration for landing. Part of that was because I insisted on it go to FMS speed. What I should have done is just scrolled this speed down to where I wanted to be and controlled that myself a little bit. My bad, stuff happens, it's not the end of the world. Okay, let's take a look at our final approach checklist. This is for landing without auto land, so flaps are set as required. We're doing flaps 50, short runway. We're not super heavy, so we shouldn't have a problem, but that's what I went with. ILS has been captured, the gear is down. We're not handing off to the tower. Autopilot will disengage that here in a minute. Warnings are all off. Trim settings we adjust as needed. I love how it says adjust when needed. Yes, I understand that. Thank you. Throttles to idle for landing, thrust reversers, and all that stuff. Remember, we have medium auto brake set, so we should be good to go there. So basically right now we're stabilized, right? So check this out. My throttles right now are up quite a bit, right? When I turn autopilot off, it's going to take the throttles with it. There's no two ways about it. It takes the throttles with it every single time. Okay. It also does this really obnoxious autopilot off warning. You can map it to a button, or you can just click on this guy right here, which I think also disconnects the autopilot. Yeah, so you can disconnect. You got to hit it a second time to get rid of that warning, but it does not maintain the speed for you at that point, right? So let's go ahead and disconnect it. Let's see if I can hand fly. Okay. Click it a second time. Come on. There we go. There we go. Okay, so we do still have auto thrust as far as I can tell. So that's nice. That's what I really want, right? Okay, so what I want right now is I'm getting just a little high. So just a little nose down trim. Okay, a lot of nose down trim. Or not. Okay, I don't want to dive at the runway, but I want to get back down to that glide slope because we're just a little bit high now. Which is like the story of my life on approach, right? If you've watched any of my videos, you know I always end up coming in a little bit high. But this is a short runway, so we don't want to do that, and it's continuing to climb on us a little, so we're going to bring that nose over just a wee little bit. Those throttles are doing their thing, so we're good. Okay, a little bit higher descent rate than we want, so let's listen for our call-outs because we're going to need to be on the ball here. Okay, start bringing that nose back up. There we go.
100, 50, 40, 30, 20, 10.
Nice. First thrust. Minus 400 feet per minute. Not too terrible. Oh yeah, she's slowing down quick, see? Okay, take those auto brakes off. Take the reverse thrust off. There we go. Yeah, she slowed down fast. So it says minus 401. Now some of you might say, wow, that's no greaser. You're right, it's not. And that's something I actually need to work on, is not trying to grease it in all the time. Somebody pointed that out to me, you know, and they're right. Listen, smooth landings are great for the folks in the back, but the reality is you do want to have a positive landing because that is what engages your spoilers and all of that. You can see our spoilers were out as they should have been, and so on. So you want to make sure that you're doing that. Let's go ahead and start bringing those flaps up. There we go. And you can see here's our FedEx terminal right here. We don't want to go too fast there. Slow down there. All right, let's go ahead and get the landing lights off. Oh, from this angle it is so unfriendly. Okay. It's based on the angle, right? So there we go. Make sure we stay on the taxiway here. Alright, not too shabby, not too shabby. Yeah, the point I was making, you know what I just noticed? I forgot to put my go-around altitude in there. I do that a lot too. The point I was making is you do want to have a positive landing. Now, you don't want to wreck it into the ground, but minus 400 feet per minute is not that bad. It's a little rough. Minus 200 feet per minute is actually a smooth landing. So when you have a, you know, a landing like where it's just kind of a little bump, you know, in real life, that's about 200 feet per minute. It's not as fast as you'd think. So anyway, that's alright. Good landing. I'm going to go ahead and taxi it in, and then we'll be back here and we'll get everything shut down. Alrighty, folks. We've got our park here. We've got the parking brake set. Let's go ahead and get that APU on. I like to usually do this as I'm taxiing in. Just makes it a lot easier, but it's actually hard to see that view from track IR, and then I forgot to do it after I broke away to finish up the taxi. So we'll just wait a second here for the APU to finish coming on, and then we can finish going through our shutdown procedures. I did remember to turn the taxi light off, so that's fantastic. Once you set the parking brake, it resets the V speeds and stuff like that. That's why it says check and confirm V speeds down there. So taking a look at our parking position, the taxi light is off, the parking brake is set. Engine 1 and 3 fuel flow switches will go off, and then engine 2. So we'll go 1, 3, then 2. We just want to make sure that that APU is done coming up and running first, which it should be here momentarily. It just takes a second here, and then we'll turn the engines off, but you can see here it's just about ready, I think. So maybe. Okay, there the APU's on now. We'll go ahead and click on the APU power, maybe. Come on. Or not. Okay, we're going to be here all day if we wait on this, so we're going to go here. We're going to bring over the ground power unit. Go ahead and put the wheel chocks in place. Bring in the cockpit stairs, and cargo main open and cargo forward open so that we can unload. Which it doesn't give us. It'd be nice if it gave us an unload option as well. Go ahead and turn the external power on since the APU doesn't want to work. We'll go ahead and shut that off for now. Come back down here, and then again it's going to go 1, 3, and then 2. So engine 1, engine 3, and then engine 2 for the shutdown. Seatbelt signs can go off at this point. Not that it really matters, just the two of us on here, but we'll turn those off. Fantastic. Doors have already been taken care of. Gangways taken care of. IRS selectors 1 through 3 go off. So off, off, and off. All exterior lights except nav need to go off, so logo lights can go off. I didn't turn the high intensity lights off. That's my bad. Nav lights stay on. Okay, and then runway turn off lights, I didn't even use those. So external power is already on. TCAS can go to standby. It's not the best view for it, but that'll work. There we go. TCAS to standby. Anti-ice is already off. Cargo tip is off. APU is off. And then the last few things to shut her down. Emergency lights can go into the off position. Now we can turn the nav light off. We'll go ahead and click that bad boy. External power, we're going to leave it on for now. We're going to leave the battery on for now. And that means that's going to wrap it up for this one, ladies and gentlemen. I appreciate, as always, you guys joining me on this flight. I hope that you enjoyed it. I most certainly did. And I just appreciate all the support that I've gotten from this community for so long. You guys have all been fantastic. I love every one of you. You guys are the reason that I keep doing this, because otherwise I'd just be like, I'm just gonna fly. I wouldn't even bother. But you guys are fantastic, and I'm just really grateful for all of you, and I just wanted to make sure that you guys know that. So if you did enjoy the flight, and if you haven't already done so, please do subscribe to the channel. We're over 9,300 subscribers. I'd love to get above 10,000 this year. 2023 be the year to go above 10,000. That'd be pretty cool. But I'm not too concerned about it either, because I know that those of you who are here want to be here. Give the video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. That is always an encouragement to me. That lets me know that the content that I just made is something you'd like to see more of. So the more thumbs up I get, the more likely I am to make more of that content. And that's it. That's all. No more, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, as always, keep the blue side up unless otherwise instructed by ATC. May God bless each and every one of you, and have a fantastic day.